up, guys? I've got another video for you today. I really didn't think I'd be able to make this one just because I only had 3 sets left, and I really needed to have this team gel instantly for this to happen, but here we are. I also forgot to mention last video, I do stream Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. PST, and I was planning on just playing the Obstagoon Haunter Gengar team, but because this team worked out as well, I'll probably be playing both on stream. This Shiftry, Drifblim, Jellicent team. So if you guys want to stop by, if you have any questions about how I run the team, stop by and ask any questions you want. Just stop by at twitch.tv/wallowerpogo. The link will be in the description as well. But feel free to stop by, ask questions about the team or mechanics or whatever you want. But yeah, first of all, shout out to my Patreon supporters as usual as we get into this gameplay video. So this team is a team that has combined a lot of things that I have really wanted to try out for a while. Drifblim's been one of those Pokemon, my white whale, I guess, of a Pokemon where I can't really ever make it work. In this case, I was actually was able to find some consistency with it, which was super nice. And Shiftry is a Pokemon that I absolutely love in Great League, and I think it's incredibly strong and super underrated, honestly. I have really wanted to make a team with it as the lead. Like, you all see it as a safe switch, where you kind of don't really get to see it at its full potential, right? You kind of see it as more of a pivot. Sometimes it wins back switch and it's great. It's like, oh, good job, Shiftry. But in the lead position, I think you can really see it carry some games, right? Now, this first game might not be it. This team, as you can tell, has a quite a big weakness to Scrafty and Obstagoon, I guess. But in this game, I'm able to hex down the Scrafty and get a bunch of Icy Wind. So it's a double dark team, right? So double dark, obviously extremely tough to deal with double ghost and a dark type of yourself. It's not like my lead that I'm running here is a fighting type that's able to help deal with these darks. It's kind of just, it's all up to the play here. So unfortunately, I let my Shiftry get a bit too low when thinking about what to do with that Scrafty. And honestly, this was the first game I ever played with this team, so it's a bit tricky figuring out what to do. This Umbreon is extremely debuffed, so Shiftry is actually going to live there, and I'm going to be able to swap out my Jellicent into their Hypno. Unfortunately, this isn't going to matter, right? Hypno runs Thunder Punch. I'm staying in this game. Like, I'm not quitting this game because I just want to work on my matchups here, right? So this first game of the team, I need to make sure exactly how much Thunder Punch does. I figured that out. Time to get out of there. So, not a great example of what this team can do, but a great example of what a hard counter to this team looks like. So we're going to see Umbreon in the lead this time. This is where you want to see it. In this case, I'm trying to fast move deny everything, right? Pretty important for Shiftry Pokemon with 3-turn fast move. You're going to see a lot of opposing 3-turn fast moves. And the Pokemon that spams out Leaf Blades every 3 snarls, you're going to try and deny, want to try and deny as many as you can. I missed that one there, but I am getting my snarls through every time. So I do have a bit of an advantage of where I should be. I like to shield one last resort because otherwise you get very far behind. But remember that because you outpace the Umbreon, every shield you trade is an energy advantage for you. And in this case, I'm just not going to let them throw the last resort. I don't want to have to spend another shield. And I'm just going to be able to take down that Umbreon. So Deoxys Defense comes in. This is a Pokemon that every Pokemon on this team can hit extremely hard. Unfortunately, it can hit them all very hard back. Thunderbolt there, as you can see, does a huge amount of damage. In this case, I'm going to bait Icy Wind. And I've learned, okay, don't bait Icy Wind against Azu. They're not going to shield. We're just going to go straight for the damage. Start burning some shields, which is what I should have done in the first place, right? The thing is, we just need to get shields down so that Shiftry and Jellicent can go straight for the throat here, right? So the thing is, Azu's the same thing as Umbreon, right? Every shield you spend is an energy advantage you get. So I swap a little bit slow there, unfortunately. I probably should have thrown the foul play before switching out. That's okay. I'm going to end up taking a Thunderbolt here. I have banked Leaf Blades on the Shiftry. I just need to get a Shadow Ball through, which is good. They probably thought I was baiting, like with the Icy Wind earlier. Yeah, I could have run this as a double debuff team, running a Bubble Beam instead of Ice Beam. But I really do think that Bubble Beam is a bit overrated, just in general, as a move. I think it's quite bad. So yeah, this team isn't about baiting. It's about just taking them down with raw damage, and that's something that I had to get used to just because I just played that Hauntar Gengar team, which is much more about baiting than teams I'm used to. So a bit of a playstyle change from the last one, right? We're just going for the nukes. So Deoxys lead again. Swap right into Drifblim this time. Let's see if they stay in. Nope, they're going to swap right out into Galv. So this is an interesting switch. It's not interesting that it's a switch in. It's interesting that it is so late. So they go for a move here. I call the bait, which is pretty huge. And I'm going to go for another Icy Wind. So because they're locked in, I decide to Icy Wind. That second time, I honestly probably should have Shadow Balled, right? Once I already got the shield. Because it's not like Shiftry can now let through a move because they're debuffed. Shiftry is still going to have to shield whatever. And I decide to commit to the farm down. I don't care. I will shield this lunge. That's okay. Because I want to end this with nearly 100 energy, which I do. And I'm able to hammer this, what I assume to be Deoxys Defense coming back in right away with a couple foul plays. So even though I'm debuffed, I'm going to be able to deal quite a bit of damage and force a shield. So I'll shield in return, and it's a Psycho Boost. So this is not a very good shield, right? And no shields remaining. I assume it's probably a Psycho Boost again. So this player's probably running Thunderbolt Psycho Boost. And then I swap in to my Jellicent, and it's a Swampert. So this is probably one of the hardest counters in the game, Swampert. Jellicent really throwing a wrench in this mudfish's plans. Not sure really what it is. But yeah, Sludge Wave resisted. Lots of players throw Sludge Wave first. Guys, if you're Swampert players, throw Hydro Cannon. It's more damage efficient. Hydro Cannon is just an insane move. Don't throw Sludge Wave. But this happens multiple times, and these are legend players. So learn your type effectivenesses, everyone. It's very important. All right, this next one is Mew. Mew is what you want to see at the front, but if you get energy, you can kind of see it anywhere. So Skarmory comes in, and I'm just going to charge all the way up. I really need that energy on Shiftry, right? Shiftry is going to be the MVP in the majority of these games. It's all about banking energy on Shiftry. In this case, because it's unlikely Skarmory is going to shield, we're just going to go straight for the Shadow Ball. And I do want to keep shield advantage. But unfortunately, I don't know if I'll be able to farm all the way down, and it looks like I will not be able to. So I'm going to have to spend 2 shields on my Drifblim. Not ideal. Not very good play to keep this shield advantage. Switch advantage. So we'll see what comes back in. Because if they're running Flame Charge, I'm going to be in a bit of trouble. So I go for the bait, assuming the Mew is coming back in. But it is actually Azu, and they're able to take down my my Drifblim with a ton of energy on it. So I'm going to be able to get to this foul play after burning a shield Leaf Blade and get both shields. But unfortunately, this Mew is going to be at a move, and unless that's a Surf, which it's not, going to have some real problems here. And yeah, either way, this Mew is probably running Wild Charge or Grass Knot, and both will take out Jellicent after boosted. So that was a bit of my fault. I really should have thrown a move with the Skarmory. So this is what happens when you get a little bit greedy, right? This is my first set with the team. Don't worry, the gameplay gets a lot better. So they're gonna swap in a Toxicroak. I swap really slow as well. So this is learning the matchups, right? And I'm just gonna swap out to Drifblim. This is a pretty dominating matchup. I should have thrown the Icy Wind beforehand, just to lessen the damage of that Sludge Bomb. Because I'm planning on doing that anyways to farm all the way down. And they actually don't throw because I think they want more farm for their Bastiodon. But I think what they don't know is that Shadow Ball actually hits incredibly hard against Bastiodon. And by incredibly hard, I mean like 25%. That's pretty good, right? Especially when it's not like my Pokemon is an Obstagoon or something that can farm down Bastiodon. Every point of damage is like Very important. And I can barely make it to that Icy Wind, so I'm going to do that. And I actually can't believe they no-shield that. They must have been counting. So I'm able to go back in with Jellicent this time, and they save their energy. And they swap it in Medicham. So this is the Double Fighter team. Guess what? Double Fighter beats Double Ghost beats Double Fighter. Yeah, this is a matchup that's pretty good. And I really don't have to mess around. Just going straight Shadow Ball against the Medicham. You resist. Well, you don't resist everything, but you resist pretty much everything here. I finally have to spend a shield, but it's perfectly fine. I still have a shield. Their Bastiodon has energy, so I do need that shield on my Shiftry. But as soon as their Bastiodon comes back in, I just have to get to that Leaf Blade, which is one Snarl away, and we'll be able to take down this Bastiodon. But yeah, no, this team is a lot of fun too. Shadow Ball is just such a good move. It's barely resisted by the meta. It's just the dark types that resist it. So you're using very powerful moves, and we'll see a slow climb up. That set wasn't very many points, right? But just getting into it. Swampert lead. Finally, we get to catch a good lead here. And they swap right into Azu, so even better. Azu's one of those Pokemon where if you get Shiftry locked into it, you can just keep gaining an advantage over and over and over, right? But I decided to switch. In hindsight, this is a pretty dumb switch, right? Jellicent stomps Swampert. So why would I not swap to Drifblim instead? But yeah, because if I swapped into Drifblim, I'd be in a very dominating position. Because both my Pokemon would absolutely shred Swampert, and Swampert would have no play. But instead, I decided to let Jellicent take quite a bit of damage, and now the Swampert is within Hydro Cannon range of taking out my Jellicent, and they actually swap into Ninetales. So this is very interesting as well. But luckily, I saved Drifblim for this, and I can just go. I probably should have thrown the Icy Wind there. They're in Icy Wind range, just to lessen the damage of, like, I don't know what I'm charging up for here. This is, yeah, not great play. I really thought I could farm down. This is, I think, my first time actually seeing Ninetales. I assumed it was more squishy than it is. But yeah, so this is what happens. The Swampert can use its energy and delete the rest of my energy. But I'm still in a pretty good position. I would have really had to mess up this game. Because the Leaf Blade will one-shot. I just need to get two of them, and I have a shield. So, yeah. So this one was as good as done as soon as the Azumarill was swapped in. How I would normally play that matchup is just push my advantage against the Azu, and that with like 60 energy and no shields on the Shiftry and no shields on them, depending on if they shield or not. Because every shield they want to spend is better. And if they don't spend shields in that matchup, then their switch timer's not up and mine is. So, Shiftry versus Galv. Shiftry versus Galv is a pretty okay matchup. So what I do here is I CMP tie on purpose on the Leaf Blade so that nothing goes through. I don't want them getting extra Volt Switch. Now because I got that first Leaf Blade, I'm going to CMP tie this Foul Play as well. So now I am quite a bit of energy ahead of them. I just need to know I need to make it to a Foul Play before their next move, and I throw 3. So I have an extra Snarl, even just pushing my advantage, and this doesn't quite KO. So I'm going to swap to Drifblim to catch this this lunge, which is pretty important, right? My team doesn't deal well with Galv, and they swap in Galarian Stunfisk. So unfortunately, I'm debuffed, but this matchup is not that bad, honestly. You can actually win by spending a shield, win switch advantage. But obviously in this case, I'm debuffed, right? So it's a little bit harder for sure. And they're going to be able to take me out. So this is the thing. At least it's a flyer that puts on enough pressure that Galarian Stunfisk kind of has to take you out without getting too much energy. But yeah, it's getting quite a bit off those mud shots at the end. It's really hard to farm down Drifblim too because it has so much health. But they're going to swap an Azu, and I need to make that swap right away, right? If I swap a little bit slow there, their Azu is going to be able to reach an Ice Beam before I'm able to reach 2 Leaf Blades. And the thing is, now my Shiftry is still healthy enough that it can't get much shut down. Its Stunfisk will need to throw energy, and this game is all but over. So Galvantula lead, really bad for this back line. Foul Play doesn't quite one-shot if they have good IVs. So I guess you could say it's a pretty tough lead, but definitely play around. Yeah, or you can definitely play around it. And this team is the very meta team of Galv, Azu, and G-Fisk, so no mercy. This next game against Trogdor, we have Beedrill lead, so this is probably one of the worst leads for Shiftry. And they're going to go into Munchlax, so oh boy, this takes a while, but what Pokemon do you guys think wins the Zero Shield in Munchlax versus Drifblim? The answer may surprise you. Yeah, so Drifblim wins the Zero Shield here. I think Trogdor realizes this and starts throwing Body Slams. I think Munchlax might be able to win if you throw those Body Slams earlier, which is super counterintuitive. But either way, Munchlax isn't going to be able to get the farm it wants to, right? Like if you swap a Munchlax into a Gengar, you just get to farm all the way down and get a huge advantage. But against Drifblim, it's a different story. This is a really long, really arduous matchup where I'm going to end up grabbing a shield here. So I do think I misplay at the end here, or they make a good play. Yeah, it's tough for me to consider what's going to happen. So they're super debuffed here. Look how much damage this Body Slam does. This is the power of a debuffing safe switch, and they're going to come right back in with the Shiftry, or sorry, the Glaring Stunfisk. So I'm going to charge up a little bit. I know I can take one Rock Slide. The thing is, they have a Beedrill in the pack, so I really need to be able to deal with it. In hindsight, I really should have just let that through and come in with Jellicent and just farm down. Because now I'm down a shield from where I could have been. Beedrill versus Jellicent isn't nearly as bad as I thought. This drill run really hurts. Even though you're taking not very effective poison jab damage, it still kind of adds up. There's bait potential, but this player does not go for the bait, just go straight for the drill run. And I have to worry about this Munchlax switch in too, because I can't hex down the Munchlax, right? I try, but I just take too much damage. I'm not going to be able to hex it down. And unfortunately, I probably should have swapped into my Shiftry there. So that was a pretty big misplay from my part. I don't know why I didn't. And now instead my Shiftry is going to get Poison Jab down right before I get to that foul play, which would have been game winning. Yeah, if I just swap my Shiftry into Munchlax, that's a win as well, right? Because I get that energy off the Snarl to take down the Beedrill. So a little bit of a misplay. I just haven't seen a Beedrill in a while either, right? So these matchups, I really don't know at this time. So Drifblim lead into sorry, not Drifblim lead. I have a Drifblim locked into Stunfisk. This is what I was talking about earlier. This matchup is not too bad. If you shield that first Rock Slide, you actually have a pretty good chance at winning back Switch. But with this, I've decided that I instead want to be able to farm quite a bit of energy on the Stunfisk instead. And like I said, Drifblim has a ton of HP, so it's not a Pokemon that you can usually mudshot down unless you're very careful with Glaring Stunfisk. And yeah, so I come in with the Shiftry, and we're gonna go for a huge farm. They're charging way up, which was probably to make me throw, so I kind of played right into their plan. But either way, I'm ending this with a full Leaf Blade. The matchup versus Deoxys is a lot different. When you have some energy, they don't shield, and then they're gonna swap into Venusaur here. So this is gonna be an interesting matchup as well. I'm really hoping they let through the Ice Beam, which they do. A lot of Venusaur's been doing that, but I don't know what this guy is saving his shields for, right? Like, because I was able to get that Hex through their move, I knew that if I shielded, their Venusaur would go down, so that's why I shielded. Otherwise, I would have let my Venusaur, or sorry, my Jellicent go down and just come in with the Shiftry. But now I think their Deoxys is a little bit too far behind in terms of shields. I think a lot of people just no shield Jellicent because they think you're running Bubble Beam, which works well for for it. And if they start shielding, then maybe start running Bubble Beam, right? So that's the advantage of a Pokemon that has that varied charge move set. You kind of have to respect all of the moves in it. Oh, I misplayed this game. Yeah, so Empoleon lead. This is really good for Shiftry. So I failed the fast move denial. It's kind of important. But this is similar to Azu, right? Where every 5 moves, you have to shield. But other than that, you two-shot them. So you gain a bit of an energy advantage every time they do something like that. They're low enough that they're able to farm down. And I switched one move too early to catch. So this was a poor play on my part. I don't know what I was doing. But they swap into Cress. Cress into Drifblim. Very interesting. I go straight for the Shadow Ball, and that hurts. So that's why you don't swap Cress into Drifblim. I considered spending another shield to farm all the way down, but I decided it was not worth it, as I have 2 Pokemon that can farm down Cress as well. And my game lags a little bit there. I don't know. I throw the Leaf Blade. This is where the mistakes begin. Whereas I should have just farmed. But they make an incredible swap there. They swap into the Ninetales and sack the Empoleon. So very good play by them. And this is a Charm, Alolan Ninetales. So it puts on a lot of pressure. This guy still has 2 shields remaining. I'm forced to blow a shield here to get to this next move. In hindsight, I probably should have no-shielded it. But I don't know if my Shiftry would have gotten to, or the Leaf Blade from my Shiftry would have KO'd from this range. I really don't think it would have. So this wouldn't have mattered. But if I built up more energy on the Crest or farmed it down, I'd be in a better position. But it's still tough. Cheers to the spice, though. Running Empoleon in a Great League is a bit of a different thing. Like I said, these were my first 2 sets with this team. So still improving. This last set, I feel like was my best one for sure. So we're going to see the Azu lead. Like I said, this is a lead you want to see. So I go for the CMP tie on Ice Beam, just so I don't let any Snarls through. Keep my advantage at 2 Snarls worth of energy. I'm down a shield though, right? But you get that back end more or energy. So I'm going to, well, they're going to swap in Sableye. So this is not even that good of a swap. It's incredible against my back line. So at this point, I'm thinking it's probably Azu Double Ghost, or there's either a Abomasnow or a Marowak in the back. And they did not charge up to Last Resort. So, or sorry, I get all my dark types mixed up. A Return. So no reason to shield there. I'll just get my Leaf Blades out. I've taken out half an Azumarill's HP, a full Sableye, and a shield. And they're going to swap in a Alolan Marowak. A bit of a slow swap for me. I really should have swapped out. And I'm going to have to tank the Shadow Bone here. I realize that Drifblim is my least valuable Pokemon at this point in time, and they somehow managed to catch my Shadow Ball, which I guess is another problem in and of its own, but it ends up not being that big of a deal, right? Because they're switch locked into this Azu. I can farm all the way down. I can no-shield this play rough, because if anything, it's going to be a one-shot from their Marowak, and they realize that I'm going to outpace them to 2 Shadow Balls, and there's no reason for them to stay in this game. I guess they could have checked if I was running Shadow Ball in the first place. There's a chance I could have been running Ice Beam, Bubble Beam, and just straight beam moves, but yeah, I don't think anyone really runs that. We're going to see a Zangoose switch in, so once again, very similar to this last game, right, with the Sableye. I can't let the Zangoose touch my backline. It's probably the hardest counter to Drifblim and Jellicent there is. But it also runs close combat, so I really have to respect that. And they're running Night Slash as well, obviously, as Zangoose, as a bait move, and it's pretty terrifying. They do go for the close combat here, so this matchup is 100% a bait game, right? But because we CMP tied, they're going to let their Zangoose go down, which I don't think they realized, but was pretty huge for my team. So same thing on Skarmory. I'm going to charge up quite a bit on Shiftry and get out. I just really want that energy for later. And they Brave Bird, and I'm going to CMP tie them. At this point, it would have been nice if I had thrown Icy Wind. But I have the idea that I can come back into Shiftry and just one-shot them with Foul Play. But I decide that I want to save a Leaf Blade for Swampert. But in hindsight, Jellicent is very good against Swampert too, so it really does not matter in this case. Sludge Wave is going to hurt. Hydro Cannon would hurt more though, remember, Swampert players. I'm going to throw that Hydro Cannon. And then I do have quite a bit of energy, but I won't need to show off with all that energy on Shiftry. I'll be able to get to the Shadow Ball. And I'll let my Jellicent go down instead of switching and just get to that foul play. Nice and easy. So, be able to take down that Skarmory and get yet another win. Yeah, that Zangoose swap in is very scary for this team. Luckily, I don't think you'll see a Zangoose if you just play your sets. So Zweilous lead. This is really, really tough. Honestly, I should have swapped right away. I didn't think about the matchups. I really should have thought about the Little Cup Dino versus Drifloon matchup. And I should have just swapped in, shielded the Dark Pulse, and just get my Icy Winds off, because I think Icy Wind nearly one-shots. Zweilous isn't that tanky. But I'm able to start burning some shields here. And I think they realize that, oh, hey, there's no real good Pokemon on their team. They're going to start shielding their Dino. Yeah, and they're going to switch out. I need to hammer this thing with Shadow Balls, though. I know they're not going to shield their Azu at this point. There's no point shielding my Drifblim. So they're running Play Rough, though, which is a good sign. But unfortunately, I'm a bit too low HP. If I hadn't have stayed in, I would have been able to be locked against that that Azu and get a ton of energy and make it so the Zweilous can't really come back in. But unfortunately, we are going to see what this Zweilous can do with a Dark Pulse. I really had to bank on it being a Body Slam. I think that was my only win condition. So, and I Ice Beam the Ferrothorn to flex. Shadow Ball is better against Ferrothorn. Don't listen to that part. Yeah, I knew I was already done. But yeah, that was a tough game. Zweilous really wrecks this team. So Marowak, I'm going to swap right away. This is the Beebs bro, fellow content creator. And Umbreon comes back in. So hard countered on the, well, not hard countered lead, but swapped out a lead. Hard countered on the switch. Let's see where this game goes. Not much of a harder counter for Drifblim than Umbreon. You can Icy Wind all day, but these Icy Winds hit Pokemon like Scrafty much harder, for example. Umbreon is just so tanky. It's just, if you're not hitting with like super effective moves, Umbreon's HP bar barely moves. It's just an absolute tank. And I'm gonna be able to come in with Shiftry. So this is the plan, right? Umbreon is debuffed, so these last resorts, they tickle. So I'm just trying to get up to as close to as 100 energy as possible before throwing. And I'm willing to take another last resort here. Or am I? Yeah. Okay. And I just push my advantage, right? Like, look how much energy. I am at 100 energy right now off of this Umbreon. So that's the power of the Drifblim swap. Countered on the swap, but you have to make the most of it, right? Alolan Marowak, pretty great into Shiftry. Unless the Shiftry has energy. So I'm able to burn that. Because they got the move through, I'm going to switch to catch the fire spin damage, because I need every little bit of health on my Shiftry as possible. It's my MVP, and they're going to swap into Azu, so pretty decent scenario for me right now. I just need to be able to take this Azu down, and I probably need to, well, I don't know if I need to save a shield for my Shiftry. It really depends on the situation, because that Marowak is not out of move right now, right? So I just need to survive that fire spin damage, and it's a tough situation. I decide shield here because I know if I farm down, I'm going to be able to burn a shield off this Marowak. At the very least, I might be able to get 2 shields, right? Yeah. And by 2 shields, I mean Marowak's life instead. The third shield of their team, Alolan Marowak, and I'll be able to take it down. So yeah, that was a very fast switch in from their Marowak after the Azu went down, so I got kind of scared. I think they're trying to save their Azu for later. But so good games. But next game we have Marshdark as well. And oh, whoops, I misedited this out, unfortunately. Hopefully this doesn't cause too many issues. Spoilers. This game is versus the 6'4 Ninja, another streamer, so we're hitting a lot of people up at that rating range. And they're going to swap in Tropius, so this is not a great situation. So Umbreon lead Tropius, that's a lot of tanky Pokemon already. This game is looking to be a long one. I debated shielding that first one, but I really don't know the Drifblim versus Tropius matchup. I really didn't want to have to spend shields where I didn't have to, especially when I've got that Shiftry waiting in the wings. I decided to throw my Icy Wind right away. I just really want to get rid of this Tropius before I take too much damage, and see if I can get to an Icy Wind before I get snarled down. Unfortunately, I can't. So Shiftry comes back in. It's my one shot against Umbreon. I really need to take out this Umbreon. I don't have, and both shields are up too, so it's a pretty tough situation for this team. I'll show the first one. It's most likely to be a last resort, but again, I'm trying to get as much energy as I can off the Shiftry, or off for the Shiftry on this Umbreon. I debate even shielding again, but I do have to let a last resort through at some time, and it's not like I can get a debuff off. My Drifblim is down. So I'm going to shield here, and my plan is to farm down the Umbreon, but they've got other plans. They're going to swap out into their Azu. I'll get this Leaf Blade off. So they're going to start spending shields here. And I know they're right at an Ice Beam. In hindsight, I probably should have just stayed in and forced them to throw their energy, but instead I swap out, and I really have to hope that they're not running Play Rough, which they're not. So Jellicent takes a Hydro Pump like an absolute boss, and I realize I actually have a chance to win this game. It's still going to be tough, right? Umbreon, I can't really like Hex down or Snarl down an Umbreon. It's just really bulky. Especially if this Azu gets to just another Hydro Pump. Or can I? So Snarl down commences, Hex down commences, and I'm just barely going to be able to do it. IVs matter slightly, I guess, but I'm going to be able to get to that Shadow Ball. Honestly, I probably should have thrown a move at the Umbreon, but I was, yeah, no excuses. That was bad. But very close game with the 6'4 Ninja, and I'm going to be rewarded with a Groudon. So the only reason I'm showing this catching screen, because I haven't cut it out, is because, well, video's over. Yeah, so that's the video. Sorry it's a bit of a short one. I only had 3 sets left on the day, so because it was working, I figured I'd rather get it out before the Wednesday, so you guys can come stop by and maybe ask some questions. I can play this team on stream if you want, but I do end this set well above the 3100 mark now, well in the area of dangerously boring queue times, but we'll see what the next team brings us. Hopefully I'll make an awful one, and I'll be able to get back into normal queue time range so I can play all my sets in a day. But yeah, if you like this kind of content, feel free to hit that subscribe button yet again. Thanks to those of you who did. And thank you to all the new viewers who have been stopping by. It's great to see so many new faces here. But yeah, as always, thanks for watching.